Now, your mother's full name is what? I mean, what was her maiden name?
Walters. Walters. Amelia Walters. I don't know whether she had a middle name or not. I don't think she did.
And where was she born?
Well, she used to tell me on the Russian-German border.
Now, my mother said something about that. Was she from the Ukraine area, or?
Well, I used to hear her talk about Kiev, wherever that's at. I think that's right on the border or something.
And so she actually immigrated to the United States.
Went to Canada first when she was just a young girl.
Do you know about when that was?
No, I couldn't tell you.
Now, what? I heard my mother said something about that she was she orphaned?
Well, she did. Her folks must have got killed or died or something before she come over to Canada. She was just a young girl, I know, she said.
Were there other, did she have family members in Canada?
Yeah, she had a couple brothers and quite a few relations in Canada at that time.
Do you know her brother's name at all, what those were?
Well, David Walters was one of them, and I don't remember the other name. There was one more brother that she had, but he died quite a few years ago, I guess.
Do you know what part of Canada she lived in?
Winnipeg.
Okay. Now, how did she meet your father?
That I really couldn't tell you. I don't know.
And do you know what year she was born in at all?
Oh, no, I couldn't tell you.
Do you know how old she was when she died and what year she died?
97 when she died. I mean, she was 97 years old. I'd have to look it up. I think I got some records of someplace. She's got a file out here in I don't know what's out there anymore, but I got all her papers that she had that was left when she died. I got them all out here.
Now, wasn't she buried up in Salt Creek also? Or?
Yeah.
We didn't see her up there.
Yeah, I think I got a picture of the gravestone.
Oh, you did? Oh.
Yeah. So then,
What was your father's full name? You know?
I don't know. It's Gustav, Gustav Kroenig. I don't know of any middle name. His picture is right up there on the wall. There's
behind the picture, isn't it?
there's some writing on the back of the picture.
Maybe it's in German.
I don't know whether it says when he was born or not.
In your mother's papers, do you know if she had a marriage certificate possibly in there? Or any documents like that?
I couldn't tell you.
now was your father? Did he emigrate also from?
Yeah, I don't know whether they come on the same boat or not, but he come from somewhat the same area. I don't know whether they knew each other up there, or I can't tell you much.
Yeah, well, that's okay. It's all. Now, my mother said that when she used to live with, so the relatives she lived with were in Canada.
Yeah.
I see. And do you know about when she came down to the Amity area here? Or?
Alma was born in Canada. The rest of us were born here on the place, Broadmead. I don't know what year they came in this area. I guess a guy could figure it out if he tried to.
Yeah. Yeah. And your father, do you know when he died?
Well, I was born in April 5th, 1926, and I was about a year and a half old, I guess, when he died.
Oh, so you never even met your father then?
I didn't know him, no. Edwin knew him. He remembered him.
What did he die from, do you know?
Well, they told me that, let's see, what was it they called it? Pernicious anemic.
Oh, pernicious anemia?
Something like that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I can tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And he was 41 years old, I think, when he died. And after I come to 41 years old, I thought, boy, and I remember driving a bulldozer at that time, thinking about it. And here I am, 41 years old now, my dad died.
Yeah.
Well, that's not very old, 41.
So let's see, 41. Well, I haven't outlived him twice yet. 79 now, so.
Now, your mother never remarried, did she?
Pardon?
Your mother did not remarry?
She remarried,
Oh.
yeah, she remarried, well, actually twice.
Oh, really?
She remarried a farmer down there, local, where she used to live, and he used to have a pair of horses that he'd come farm her ground for her, you know, and she married him, and I remember him really because he was a mean old bird.
So he raised you?
Well, he raised me up over the fence with his foot.
What was his last name?
Cable at that time, but they weren't married very long, and she divorced him, and then.
So he was pretty mean?
He was mean, yeah. He lived on across the creek from over my mother's place there, actually where Jim Harper's place is at now, that big fancy house with that brass door or brass gate.
We haven't been over there for many, many years, so I'm sure it looks a lot different.
But that's where he used to live. But they weren't together very long. And then, of course, in 1934, she remarried Harry's dad, Colson, Walter Colson. I remember that day.
So the other three children, including yourself, were your father was Gustav then.
Edwin, myself, and Alma was from first husband.
Yeah.
Harry's come along in 1934, the second or third one.
So what do you remember about that day? You were starting to talk about.
Well, I don't know how she got a hold of him, but some people in Portland, I think, is the one that got her acquainted with him. But he was a World War I veteran. I remember him coming. Edwin and I was out there on the road playing, and here come a guy along, walking down the road with a stick over his back, his suitcase hanging over the stick.
Kind of like you think of a hobo or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was his full name?
Walter Bernard Colson.
Okay.
And that's Harry's dad. They bought a Model T Ford Touring, and we used to go to the hop yard, Fanning's hop yard over in Ballston, and pick hops. But he was, I guess they called it shell-shocked or something, and he was, at them days they called it shell-shocked. And he was mean, and my mother and him would have fights in the hop yard, and she couldn't even look at anybody but what he said she was flirting with him, you know, and I remember one night we come home in the Model T Ford. We crossed the railroad track over there, and she jumped out of the car while it was going. And he took us home, and he just had a fit. He just went nuts.
About how old were
He
you
was
then?
probably a very controlling person.
I was about, well, in 1934, I would have been, how old? 26?
8 years
8
old.
years old.
Yeah, right about that, yeah. You're thinking, you're adding better than I am.
I'm using my fingers.
But anyway, he went into the house, and we were just, Edwin and I were just scared to death. He just turned that house upside down, broke every dish in the house, and she walked home. And
That's really traumatic for children to have to be in the middle of that.
But anyway, that didn't last too long either, you know. And we only had a one-room bedroom, one room for all of us to sleep in. I remember one night we was in bed there, and he had one of these fits that he was having, and he had the hunting knife to my mother's throat, was going to cut her throat. And Edwin hollered at him, "You leave my mom alone." And it woke me up then, and I remember seeing it then too, you know. And we really plowed into him, you know, and he realized what he was doing after he come to his senses.
War does terrible things to people.
Yeah, and
They have flashbacks like they're back, you know, in the war.
He'd keep saying that one of these days I'm just going to walk away. I'm going to leave, and he did. That's what happened. Never heard from him again.
So how long was he with your mother?
He was gone before Harry was born. So I would say Harry was born in 34. He probably wasn't there much over a year and a half, or I don't know. I'd have to stop and think. Figure things out.
So how did your mother support herself without a husband?
Just work. She used to go out for Charlie Moe and McCullen, pitch bundles in the thrashing machine, you know, and get right out in the field with everybody else, and no other women out there but her working.
She probably sounds like she had a pretty hard life.
A very rough life, yeah. She was a good mother, though.
Well, you admire her for trying to do the best she could to take care of the children.
Yeah. We had a pretty close life to stay home and work, you know. And I guess that's why I'm such a workaholic yet. Stay home.
It sounds like picking hops was a pretty popular thing to do. I know I've got a lot of old family pictures from my mother's side of the family where they would go out in the fields and pick hops, and it was almost kind of like the poor man's way to go camping, you know, because you could go out there and stay in some of these shacks, and I think the kids probably liked it, you know, it was kind of fun, and yet you could earn a little money at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, we had some of the pictures are the kids, the aunts, the uncles, the grandparents, just everybody out there picking hops together, you know.
Yeah, I never did care much for the hop picking. I went along because I had to.
Yeah.
You do what you have to do to earn a living.
So do you have any memories of growing up that made a real impression on you at all?
Well, I don't know what to say on that. It's been a hard life.
So you went to school here in Amity then?
I went 6 years to Broadmead School. There, that, of course, it's burnt since that. And 2 years in grade school here, and then I went through high school in Amity.
Did you like school much, or did you?
No, I didn't like school at all. I wanted to get home and go to work.
You liked working with your hands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when did you get your first car?
Well, I got the Model T that they had. A neighbor bought it, and then I got from them. That was actually my first one. I kind of made it into a pickup. I was running around the place with it. I didn't get off the road with it, really. But I was just very young at that time. So I kept it until, well, I don't remember how long I had it, but I just used it for a pickup around the place. And then, of course, later on, then I'd buy something different. Had lots of automobiles. Ask me some more questions.
I told him he should have wrote them down so he would
Well, I didn't
remember
know.
what he wanted to ask you.
Well, you just kind
You'll
of
think
go
of
with
them
the
when
flow,
you'll think of them when you get home.
I'm not a very good talker.
Yeah.
I've been what you'd call, I guess you'd call it kind of a loner all my life.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm still alone now. Probably.
So how did you meet my mother?
Well, Phil Wilt was married to your mother's sister, and I guess your mother come out there to Wilt's and visit a few times, she says, and I never knew it at the time. Of course, I was living right next door there, but I never did see her over there. But anyway, Phil used to haul us around quite a little to my mother and brother, my Edwin and I, to go visit Alma and Walt when they were living in Cicada and different places. And Phil introduced me to your mother.
So how long did you know each other then, before you got married? Or before you proposed, I should say.
Gosh, I couldn't really answer that question. She could answer that better than I could. Your mother and I bought that house here at McCoy. We were renting a house at Ballston for $30 a month. And boy, I sure couldn't see putting out $30 a month to rent a house when we bought one at McCoy for $500, property and all.
Wow.
How much property?
Oh, there was close to an acre, I imagine. But the house was shot.
Gee.
Your mom's dad helped, and George Erickson, and let's see, your grandma's name was Sadie Erickson. Yeah, they helped come work down in there, put sheetrock up there, and we made a pretty nice looking house out of it. We was there for, I don't know, a couple of years. We ended up selling it to Bill Domes for $3,000 and bought this house here at Amity for $7,500 and lived there. Of course, you were pretty small. I don't think you knew much about that.
No, I got some couple baby pictures of me sitting on a front porch, and
Yeah.
it's like an old wooden porch of some sort. But
You were born while we was living at the house at McCoy. I regret a lot of things about that deal, but then, it's water under the bridge.
I like to find out a little bit of history and things about different sides of my family, and
Well, what else you want me to talk about?
oh, you don't have to talk about anything.
You don't have any stories you can remember that happened when you were growing up? Stories at school, stories with your brother, holidays. Did you have nice holidays? Like, did your mother make it special for you at Christmas time? You don't remember any holidays? Not even Christmas?
Well, I remember once at Christmas, Alma and her they was trying to get me to hang up the stocking and everything, you know, and so Santa Claus coming down the chimney, and I remember my mother just baking a batch of cookies, but them cookies ended up in the stocking. So I knew that Santa Claus didn't bring them.
You were too smart, huh?
That's when I got realized that there's no Santa Claus when them cookies showed up in my stocking.
That's like something Jacob would observe.
Oh, I guess I must have had a pretty good life when I was young. I don't remember too much about it. I remember playing with the Wilt kids, Calvin used to, he always had more money than I had, you know. By golly, he used to like the wild filberts, or hazelnuts, you called them. Yeah, but he didn't want to go pick them, so he'd get me to go pick the walnuts, or the hazelnuts for him and dry them, and I'd put them in a little Bull Durham sack, and I'd sell them to him for penny a sack. And I sold him quite a few.
So
hazelnuts.
was that your idea to do that, or did he ask you to do that?
No, that was my idea.
So you've been an entrepreneur, businessman ever since you were young, huh?
Well, I was awful young when I started doing that.
That was a smart idea.
And if you had the great big Bull Durham sacks, I'd get a nickel out of them. But I'd have to pick up all the Bull Durham sacks around the country.
What's a Bull Durham sack? I've never heard that term.
Well, that was what tobacco come in them.
Oh, so they're about
bulk
this
tobacco.
big, maybe? How big were they? How big were the sacks?
The big one would probably be about
How many cups maybe in there? Or
2 cups maybe in the big ones. And the little ones only have probably half a cup or something like that.
So where'd you get all your sacks from? You must have a neighbor that smoked, huh?
Well, I apparently I don't remember where I got them at, but they worked real good for putting them nuts into it. We didn't have plastic bags at that time, you know.
So when did you start getting into the logging business?
Well, after I was working, when your mother and I was together, I was working at Paradell Hardware, the international dealer.
What did you do there?
I did whatever shop work would come in, work on tire, just farmers would bring things in there. I got working for them, and I was getting, let's see, what was it? I think I was getting $1 an hour at that time. I finally, well, there was an old TD6 International cat that they had took in trade, and I talked Houck and Brown, the owners of the place, out of it. I told him I'd like to get that TD6 for Edwin so he could farm with it. They was afraid that if I got that I'd probably go in the bulldozing business with it or something. They sold it to, I think it was for $500 at that time, and I had to rebuild it.
Didn't they want you to go? I mean,
they didn't want me to quit.
Oh.
But I kind of was, my mind was kind of, I wanted to find a better job. We started logging just across the creek from the home place there, Edwin had 2-wheel tractors. It was all logged, but we went ahead and re-logged a bunch of it. After 5 o'clock, I'd come home, and Edwin and I would get about every 2 days, we'd get a load of logs on his old GI farm truck. And we'd take them into Sheridan, and I could work all day and make $8 a day. But I could go out there and log, and I could make $16 a night after work.
Wow,
Every
that was
day.
lucrative, wasn't it?
So,
Wouldn't take long for you to add the numbers up and ask yourself, well, why am I doing this? Why am I doing the other job during the day, huh?
That's right. And after we got that TD6 rebuilt, we started using it and got bigger logs.
Now, who taught you how to rebuild a bulldozer? Who taught you all the mechanics? Did you teach yourself, or did you have someone that you...
Nobody taught me. I just
had
get
that
out
ability,
and do it. Just get out and do it.
Huh?
I'd make a lot of mistakes, and I had to do it over a second time, but I wouldn't tell people about it. Nobody really taught me to do much of that stuff. I just worked on my own.
Well, that's kind of like I've done with the computers, too. So maybe a little bit of that rubbed off on me.
It's probably stubbornness.
Well, I'm sure you got some of it from me.
But you have to have that if you're going to teach yourself something. You got to be determined.
But we logged and cleared land and stuff like that, and we just kept buying a little bit more equipment. Well, it turned out to be a pretty good business.
Now, was he doing farming at the same time when this was going on?
Yeah, he was doing farming. And then when he had to do the farming, I would be either alone or we hire help now and then. But
now, what about Harry? Now, how old was he when he got injured? Right? Did he get injured? What caused his
Harry
problem?
logged for us after he got out of high school. He logged with us for about a year and a half, or something like that, maybe 2 years. But Edwin and Harry had a log hauling job out of Salem. I never did get over there, and I was told that Harry got knocked out on that job some way or another with something, I don't know how. Nobody come to his aid or anything. He'd come to after a while, and he seemed to be okay. He turned out, he worked after that quite some time too, until all of a sudden he went haywire in the mine.
And so that was, they think that was a result of that injury then?
Well, I don't know. Some people seem to think it was, but I've got a feeling that it was that he's inherited this part of this from his dad. Mm-hmm. Seeing that what kind of a guy he was, mean, and I just feel like that.
Harry's not mean though, is he?
Not now, no.
He
but
was though.
When he went haywire, there was 5 people that couldn't hold him.
Really?
I was on the fire department at that time, and I had red lights on my car, and they called me over there they've got trouble with Harry. Cleet Drader and Edwin, they was trying to hold him down. I come over there. We got him in the car, and I rushed him to the McMimble Hospital. We put him in a straitjacket, and he just ripped right out of that. He just tore that straitjacket to pieces. Mm. And it took 5 people there to hold him down to put another one on top of him.
He must have had a lot of adrenaline in his system.
Oh, he was strong. He was there in the hospital for probably 8 days or something like that, and then they called up and they said, we can't handle him anymore. You've got to do something with him.
So would have been about 20 or so, right around there, or?
Pretty close, yeah.
He's just young.
Yeah, I would say that's getting pretty close. It'd take me some figuring out
Yeah, well,
to pinpoint it down.
That's too bad.
He had just got out of high school, and I think he worked with us for 2 years after he got out of graduated from high school.
So he has some kind of medication he's on that helps him to be stable?
Now he does. Every 2 weeks he has to have a shot, yeah.
And how many years difference was there between you and Alma?
Oh, there was a year and a half between Edwin and I, and then I would say 4 or 5 years, about 5 years probably older than I was.
So are you next to Alma and then,
No,
Who is- oh, you're the younger,
he's
second
younger
from the
than
bottom.
Edwin.
Yeah, I was the youngest of the family then. Maybe more than that, I don't know.
So what were Edwin and Alma like as a brother and sister? I mean, did you ever get in any fights or arguments? Or
No, there was
got along pretty good?
never no arguments between any of us.
Back in those days, huh?
Yeah, but Alma left home when I would say she was probably 15 years old,
Really?
and she went to stay with Compton. Well, let's see, Compton didn't ring. I forget the name. Portland. And,
Did she not get along with your mother, or why did she want to leave at that age?
I don't know. I don't know what. She just felt like she wasn't being treated right, I guess, or something.
So you're just saying she was just a teenager,
Well,
just a regular teenager.
She was just a young teenager that apparently didn't get along with my mother too well for some reason. I don't remember hearing much about that.
Yeah,
Maybe she had a job opportunity or something.
at 15.
Maybe? I don't know.
She met Clark up there in Portland through Minnie Huntley. Minnie and Huey Huntley was their name. They lived on Bybee Boulevard, I think it was, or something in there. She lived with them for a long time, but I never seen her much at that time. I really didn't know her when she was young like that.
So she never came back to live at home then after that, huh?
After her and Clark got married, about the time Barbara was born, yes, they come back and lived in that little old shack right there beside the house. And I remember helping get it fixed up, and they lived there for quite a while. And of course, Clark was never a what you'd call a go-getter. He was just I don't know.
Well, how did he support his family? What kind of work did he do?
Well, he did build it later on in the years. He built houses in Portland, but he worked for his brother too, in the cement business. He never did get along very good by himself. He just not a go-getter. He's just
Kind of depends on other people a bit, huh?
yeah. I don't know why she even put up with him, but she did. Well, I haven't said anything too bad about people yet, have I?
Are you holding back? Yeah, this is evidence. He's thinking carefully before he speaks. So what kind of a father were you to Jared when he was little?
What was that now?
How much kind of a father were you to Jerry when he was a baby? Were you very involved with him when he was a baby? I mean, he was only with you for about a year, right?
Not very
You were
long.
divorced?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I don't remember too much about it, tell you the truth about it. I know I felt bad when they left and felt very bad. And I have felt worse after he was gone and felt much worse after I turned adoption. That hurt me bad there, to have to adopt him out, to see that, well, I don't know how to put it, but I just feel like his
Do
name.
you feel like you were giving your son away?
Yeah, I feel like his name should still be Kroenig, and I wished it was. But that's water under the bridge.
Well, Jerry didn't have much to say about that, I don't think, because he was too little.
Yeah.
Oh, when you're that young, I told you when we were in the hospital, when I was visiting you there, as I recall, just on principle, I would have just as soon kept the name I was born with,
But it doesn't erase the fact that you're still father and son. Just not
Well,
in
I'm
name.
sure of that.
Just not in name. You still would have had
Too
the name.
long.
No, it still would have been part of you then that way. Some people do that.
Well, I hear in South America, they just keep adding on to the names.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
That'd be a long laid
Because
name.
we were dealing with a customer through work down in Chile, and I remember hearing their first name, and I don't quite understand it. Somehow the name is carried on through the mother's family, but it keeps getting longer and longer as the generations go on. So
Yeah.
So some people have really long names. Some people do that nowadays. They have really long names. They have, in Gail's family, her kids have several names.
yeah.
They have like 5 names.
So then you're saying Walter Kroenig. Walter Kroenig was what part of the family?
He was my cousin.
Okay.
My dad and his dad were brothers. His dad was the devil of the family, and my dad was the good part side of the family.
What was Walter Kronig's father's name?
Leonard.
Leonard?
He was an ornery critter.
So where does he live now? Walter. Is his name Walter?
Walter's
Oh,
dead.
he's dead.
Oh, he's
He
dead.
died years ago.
Oh.
So who's buried up at Salt Creek then? Your mother, your father?
All my relation is buried there. My father, of course, our son, your brother,
Right.
and Alma's buried at Sheridan. Edwin's buried at Lincoln. Not Lincoln. On the way to Lincoln.
Now, how come he didn't get buried at the cemetery where your mother's buried?
There's no place. They wouldn't have been buried nowhere near close. And I'm going to be buried up there at Bethel Cemetery.
Where's that at?
Well, is that the one Edwin was at?
Yeah, Edwin's over there. Yeah. And of course, the reason we did that is we had 5 grave sites reserved there. Mike, who is buried there, Loretta's brother, the one that got killed on the motorcycle, he's buried there. And then I'm going to be there, and Harry's going to be there too. There's just no place up there at the Bethel Cemetery. It's
Salt Creek.
Salt Creek to have anything close. Of course, it was my decision, kind of, I guess, to do this.
Mhm.
We had these graves.
Well, if you already have the plots,
Well, they only cost $50 a piece when we bought them,
Wow. They're more
And,
expensive now.
There's no sense in going out someplace and paying a big price and have these just thrown away.
what do they cost now?
They're still $50.
Really?
They're still $50 a piece.
That's not much.
It's a real nice graveyard. We're the ones that's highest up on the hillside. We can look out and see all the country.
So some of your mother probably has some relatives that are still up in Canada area.
All her relation are there, yeah. Of course, they're all dead now. Oh, the grandkids. The grandkids, but I didn't know, we met the grandkids, some of them, at a later date. One of them was in Vancouver, Washington, but I don't know who's still alive or.
You probably never knew your grandparents, did you? Because they
No.
probably were over in Russia, huh?
No, I didn't know anything about them. I don't know anything about them. I want to definitely find that Gertrude had and send it to you, where you can make a copy of it.
Okay.
It's the family tree. It goes back and tells where, I think it told where my parents were born, in Russia or German border,
Mm-hmm.
and